everyone. Hopefully we will have a legion of other residents coming in to be a part of today's voter education day as well as fireside chats. Usually I don't like to be on camera with my reading glasses on. However, my doctor told me, my optometrist told me that I think you can use some readers with your contact lenses. I said, oh no, that time has come. But I wanted to thank all of you all for coming out on this beautiful Saturday. There's so much going on in the city of Atlanta and the state as it relates to the November 6th elections. And so Atlanta Planning Advisory Board, I guess I should back up and introduce myself. My name is Jennifer. I'm the president of Atlanta Planning Advisory Board. And we, every year, we do a citizens engagement type of day where we make sure that citizens of Atlanta and all other surrounding areas, whether it's county or state, let them know about how they can get involved in their government. Sometimes it's not just the city of Atlanta, but it's also Fulton County services, as well as nonprofit organizations doing great things in the community. The Atlanta Planning Advisory Board is a body that consists of alternates and delegates. And those delegates and alternates are appointed by their MPU chair. And so we are volunteer citizens, we are residents of the city of Atlanta. We meet every month, third Saturday of the month at City Hall from 10 until 12 noon. And what we talk about is giving citizens an opportunity to serve on boards, commissions, and committees, as well as offering resolutions or legislative and or administrative recommendations to the Atlanta City Council. We serve as a liaison and a support mechanism for the MPUs. We do that by hosting a Neighborhood Matters Award every year in December, which will be December 15th. And that's an opportunity for community leaders to recognize those organizations and individuals who are making a difference in their community. Also, citizens have an opportunity to serve on boards. Right now, we have the Beltline TADAC, which stands for Tax Allocation District Advisory Committee. We have 3 seats available on that particular committee. So if we have any residents that are interested in serving on that, please let us know. We also do a board retreat every year, and we do citizen engagement days such as this, and we also do a MPU leadership training, and that's where you have the MPU chairs and or neighborhood association members or community members who want to come together to know what it entails to serve as citizens with the city of Atlanta. I'd like to explain it in a nutshell what APAB does and what the difference is between APAB and the MPU system. As we know, the MPU system started in 1974 by our former Mayor Jackson. And it was really to make sure that citizens continue to be involved and to also make recommendations as it relates to the CDP, to the mayor's office, and also to the Atlanta City Council. But what we do is we serve as a support to the neighborhood planning units. And like I mentioned before, we are volunteers, and it is definitely a labor of love. And I want to welcome all of you all again for coming. We hope that you will enjoy today's program. We do have some partners, and I'll be introducing our moderator. He will go more into detail of who those partners are. And there are voter education organizations where you have an opportunity to go to the back and kind of ask any questions that you may have as it relates to who's on the ballot, also what amendments or referendums are on the ballot. There are at least 5 amendments, if my memory serves me correctly, and the verbiage is very, very confusing. And so sometimes you really need someone who has kind of had the background, kind of knows what this verbiage means so that you can make an informed decision. I have to say this, that Atlanta Planning Advisory Board, we are a nonpartisan all of the candidates, Republicans and Democrats, were invited today to send them, to come themselves, or they can send a survey. So I just wanted to let you all know that. We don't take a position on anything. What we do is make sure that we provide the information and make sure that this industry is informed and educated. At this time, I'd like to recognize any delegates and alternates with APAB. If you would please stand. Thank you so much for coming. Since it's such a small little core knit group, we can introduce yourselves and say what your position is, and anything else you would like to share with the group. Mr. Toomer?
Eric Toomer. I'm a member of the executive board. I'm First Vice Chairperson, a member of NPUQ. I am the delegate and past president of that organization.
Sonia Hollis, I am the alternate for NPUG.
Rashid Muhammad, serving as second vice president on the planning advisory board and delegate from NPU.
Terry Ross, I chair NPUT, which you guys are now sitting in NPUT. I want to welcome everyone. I'm also the chair of the Committee on Council for the Planning Advisory Board as well.
Very good. Thank you all so much for your support and also for your service. Also want to make some more recognitions. NPUT, which Terry Ross is the chair of. We want to thank you all for partnering with us. When I spoke with Terry, you know what I said? I said it would make no sense for us not to ask you all to partner with us when we're in NPUT and we support NPUs. So we do thank you for that, for collaborating with us. Also, the Hammonds House Museum. What I'd like to do is kind of break from the agenda for a minute and have Mr. Robert to come up and to, he's representing the Hammonds House Museum. They're partnering with us, and he's going to basically give you, he's a historian, he knows all about this beautiful home and some background as well as how you can become a member. Okay, come on up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As Jennifer said, my name is Robert Thompson. I live in the West End. I have a business in the West End, and I'm a volunteer docent and partner of the Hammonds House. I've been involved in the Hammonds House Museum for going on 13 years. This is a Fulton County facility. We're actually in our 30th year. This is our 30th anniversary. We, as I said before, are a Fulton County facility. The original house was built in 1871 and consisted of these 3 rooms that you see up here, and then each successive owner added to the house. Dr. Otis Thrasher Hammond was the final private owner of the house, and he purchased the house in 1979 in order to house his collection. He had over 250 pieces of art from the African diaspora, and he needed a home for it. So he bought this house specifically to house his collection. On his death, he finished the house in 1985 after 6 years of renovation. He lived in the house for about 8 months and then he died. And his family left the house and the collection to Fulton County. We run it as a museum that features work from the African diaspora. We have between 4 and 6 shows a year. This particular show is up until the end of the month. But we also make our facility available to organizations like yourself and to private people if you want to have a wedding or an anniversary or frat function here. We are pretty well booked for the year. So I just want to welcome all of you. We also partner with an organization called We Tours ATL. It's a project funded by the Atlanta Beltline Partnership, and they offer free tours, walking tours of the neighborhood. We do an art tour, we do a farm tour, and we do a garden tour, and they're free. You just go to our website if you want any information. I'll leave these flyers here. You can go on our website and register. The tours usually are every Saturday from I'll be around if you have any questions.
Thank you, Robert. Okay, I also would like to recognize our media partners, WAOK and the Atlanta Tribute. At this time, I'm going to call up our moderator, Rashad Ritchie. I am not going to read his bios on the back of the program, but what I will say about this young man is he is an inspiration to us all. I know I'm going to speak for myself, and I've never seen such a powerful young person who has come from a long ways, but is extremely humble about the experiences and open about his challenges, his ups and downs. And so I am very proud of you, and we appreciate you partnering with us and being the moderator for today's day. So without further ado, Mr. Shagarji.
Thank you. How y'all doing? All right, so next time they call me, now y'all better give me a round of applause. Appreciate that. I mean, I'm going to feel sad anymore. All right, so my name is Rashad Ritchie. I'm humbled by the opportunity to be here with Jennifer, APAB, all of the great coalition partners. Just a little bit on the election. I'm a radio personality for WAOK and B103, and I did a commentary that's airing until Election Day, letting people know this is the most important election we've had in modern history in the state of Georgia. I have people that call my show sometimes and they still say, well, Rashad, I don't vote because my vote doesn't matter. And I say to them, well, if your vote didn't matter, why would they work so hard to keep you from doing it? There's a real assault on democracy happening in the United States of America. In addition to being on radio, I'm also the political analyst and commentator for CBS 46 News and Peachtree TV. I'm on CBS 46 every night at 6 o'clock news. And on election night, if you're looking at results, I will be there 4, 5, 6, 9, and 11. I will be there all night analyzing the results. Just a little bit about the Atlanta Planning Advisory Board, commonly and affectionately known as APAB. It's a representative board of citizens drawn from every NPU, District of Atlanta. The annual budget is administered by the Bureau of Planning. I think it's important to note, and my good friend Deborah isn't here right now, but I spoke with her yesterday and the day before yesterday about this great event. Deborah Scott from Georgia Stand-Up. Georgia Stand-Up is a partner with APAB and gives a yearly grant to make sure that programming takes place. As the schedule goes, as you see on your program roadmap, I will introduce a few of our community partners. They will come up, they will give you some info, and after that, we will have our fireside chat. Before I do that, let me recognize Chief Judge Cassandra Kirk. Hello, Judge Kirk. You're running, okay, she's running. Thank you for being here. Yeah.
Thank you.
If there are any other elected officials, let me know. I know some are actually going to come, some representatives will be here for our fireside chat. And so we're looking forward to that. Let me introduce another good friend of mine. I've been knowing her for many years, and you know, she keeps people coming on my radio show. I like that. That's called content. My good friend Diane Larche, representing the National Council of Negro Women.
Thank you to my good friend, to Rashad Ritchie, and to Jennifer Freeman. We appreciate you for inviting the National Council of Negro Women to be a part of this today. Bringing greetings on behalf of our national president, Ingrid Saunders-Jones, and our executive director, Ms. Janice Mathis, which you all may know for a long time being with Rainbow Push here in this area. We're proud to have a lot of Georgians and a lot of from the Atlanta area at the helm of our illustrious organization, which was founded in 1935 by Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, who you know founded the Bethune-Cookman university, college and university. So we're really proud to be still here after 80 years. We're still here and alive. We own our own building, which was first started, the purchase of it by Dr. Dorothy Irene Height, who was the president of the National Council of Negro Women for over 40 years. And we're very proud to say that our $8 million building is paid in full. We own it, we don't allow it, and it is fully occupied. We have a lot of our tenants there, one being the Andrew Young Foundation is housed there as well. So again, we are here, we're nonpartisan, and we are a nonprofit, and we want to share in this day and the importance of voting. We are really excited about what's going on in Georgia and the excitement, the momentum, everything, everyone is voting. All of the, those who voted with the early voting, it shows that we are getting across to the people in Georgia the importance of voting. We're over 2,000 different sections across the country strong. We have adult sections as well as collegiate and youth. Our collegiates are growing leaps and bounds. Right now, we're chartering them like crazy. And we're so proud of our Clark Atlanta, Spelman, UGA, Georgia State, Mercer. These young ladies are doing some wonderful things on their campuses as well in their communities, and we're so proud of them. And so we're happy to be here today. We thank you for inviting us. Please check us out on our website. We're greateratlantacncw.org, or our national organization, ncnw.org. Again, thank you, APAB. Thank you, Jennifer, for having us today. And we are the National Council of Negro Women. And the last thing to say is vote. We gotta vote, y'all. Thank you.
And thank you, Diane. For our second part, we're going to start our fireside chat. I know that there are some candidates who are on the way. Before we go there, I just wanted to let people know that there is information about the ballot initiative. So what's been happening the last 3 weeks on my talk radio show, the number one call I've received is, Rashad, what are these ballot initiative questions? How many of y'all already voted? All right, so pretty much everybody in here, and I haven't, I still vote on election day.
Me too.
You too. I'm just old school like that.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of people that called my show, and I was so heartbroken by it. They said, Rashad, I went to vote, I got in there, I wanted to turn around and leave because I did not know how to answer the ballot initiative questions. So I decided, I recently became the chief editor at large for Rolling Out magazine. And so my first publication was on November 1st, just a couple of days ago. And we decided to put in that middle insert a pullout, and it's a nonpartisan explanation of every single ballot initiative on that ballot. So you can also find that online, the New Georgia Project. Y'all familiar with them? A nonpartisan organization. They have that version online as well. And I say that because one, I want people to be informed of how the ballot initiatives work, because they are binding in the state of Georgia. And in addition to that, it's good for people to feel empowered. I found throughout the years of doing this work that when a voter feels informed about the issues, they are more likely to go and actually participate. Okay? We're going to start our fireside chats. Lunch will be served, Jennifer, at 12 noon, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so some candidates are on the way. Yes, you have a question?
And I'm not sure it's appropriate for me to bring this up now, but I understand that you brought forward the possible confusion on the ballot in terms of the referendum, but there's one area that I think is always under-mentioned and not understood very well, that becomes very important to us, especially our youth, and that is the elections of our judiciary.
Mm-hmm.
That people, I would say, whether they be state, federal, local, municipal, or district, whatever they may be.
Right.
And at some point, I would surely like to see something done to try to help us understand that justice that is divvied out without the community and the temper of grace, etc., and the knowledge of the community is, we can see it. We saw it with the gentleman, the football player up in Rome. We saw it in Henry County with the ice cream, the gentleman that was convicted for stealing ice cream out of the school lunch and was sentenced to an enormous amount of years. I digress. So at some point, if you could inform the public of those issues, because we're losing seats.
No, I agree. So I just want to tell you some of the things that are going on. Have you guys heard of Advocacy for Action? Advocacy for Action, they put on a number of debates. This is a lawyers group, okay? They put on a number of debates, and their mission is actually to increase minority judges on the bench. That's their actual goal. But they sponsor a number of debates, judicial debates only, throughout the year during the election phase. I'm one of the contract moderators for those debates. In addition to that, there's an app that we've been pushing on B103 and WAOK, and the app also comes from New Georgia Project. So if you go, young people use their cell phones a lot. If you go and you download New Georgia Project on your cell phone, go to the App Store, and you put in, you don't even have to put in your address, just allow the location marker to find you. It tells you everybody, including judges, who are on the ballot for your district and your district alone. Now, beyond that, you have to do some research, and I encourage anyone who listens to me on any platform, when you know the name that's going to be on the ballot, do what you do with everything else. Google it. Google it. Do some research so you can understand what the agenda is for those candidates. We've done things on the college campus as well. I'm actually getting my second doctorate at Clark Atlanta University, but I'm a lecturer over at Clark, or guest lecturer. And we do things in the poli-sci department to bring these things out. I'm only one person, but anybody can do it. Student organizations are always open to people coming through, speaking, saying a few words to them. And you'll be really surprised at how receptive these young people are to individuals in the community who are doing the work. And so those are just a couple of avenues. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to mention also, I'm on the board of directors for the League of Women Voters of Atlanta Fulton, and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and the League have a voter guide. So if you Google the AJC voter guide, that we've been doing that for probably 20 years.
Wow.
And it will list all the candidates, and it gives you all those referendums and all those details as well. So you can check that out. And I wanted to also mention from the National Council of Negro Women this morning with us, Sophia Burns, our corresponding secretary, and also Demetrius Johnson, our political affairs co-chair. So I just want to make sure that you mention that they're here with us this morning.
Great women, I know
Thank
them all. Yes. Yes. All right, so come on up.
Thank you. Okay, before we start our chats,
A few more announcements. And also, we do have a representative, I forgot her name, and it's okay. What's her name?
So I'm Kelly, but Dawn Randolph for Public Service Commission, she's
Yes.
on her way, she's just running a bit late this morning.
So that's what I wanted to say. We do have a candidate that's on the way. Her name is Dawn Randolph. She's running for Public Service Commission District 5, okay? And so what we'll do is Trey is going to move the video camera to the back, and so we'll have, the candidate will have an opportunity to say something at that time, okay? Also, how many social media gurus do we have in here? All right, so by now you should have already checked in, right?
Oh, you're talking about location.
Yes. Check in, Facebook, APAB Atlanta, and also Twitter. Our handle is APAB25. Okay? Also, if you want to sign up for our e-newsletters, you can go to apabatlanta.org. There's a landing page, and you sign up and start getting the e-newsletters. We're still in the process of rolling out our new and improved website. Hopefully we'll do that by the end of the year. also, Shaw mentioned the Georgia Stand Up. Deborah Scott and that organization, they have been a cheerleader of ours. They've given us grants over the years, have partnered with us on a lot of different activities and programming. In your chair, you see who's who in Georgia politics. Please read through that information that was provided by Georgia Stand Up. Also, they wouldn't have representatives here today, but they are phone banking. Phone banking is on and popping. And then also, we didn't have enough copies to, hard copies of this document, but what I'd like for you all to do is, and I apologize in that I have to find the website. I will announce it and I'll post it. But this document is called the 2018 Georgia Candidates' Views on Public Education. Okay, and there are a few copies on the table as well. There are also additional information such as know your candidates. This is all the candidates that are on the ballot, and there are extra hard copies of these in the back fireside chat area. Also, you see something, your silence will not protect you, vote. And on the back are key dates. So how many people know that early voting stopped Friday? Okay, so the only opportunity you'll have to vote is when?
Tuesday.
Okay, what time do the polls open?
7.
And what time do they close?
7.
Very good.
Depends on the county.
Beg your pardon?
Depends on the county.
Depends on the county, that's correct. The Fulton County, and I believe the DeKalb County are from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m.
It is 80% chance of rain on Tuesday as well. So
Say that again?
80% chance of rain on Tuesday as well.
Okay, yes.
Mhm.
Okay, take an umbrella.
That's right.
I was trying to think if there was anything else. If you have questions about voter information at all, you've got the organizations in the back, but we also have our Secretary of State's office. And you can visit mvp.sos.ga.gov. At this time, you are dismissed to go to the fire chats. Okay, thank you all. Lunch will be served at 12 noon. There are lunch boxes, and you can go right to the area where the food is. In the meantime, breakfast will still be out. Thank you so much, and hope you all enjoy it. At some point, we will be reconvening, and we'll let you all know we'll convene back to the assembly area. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.
I'm the Democratic candidate for the Georgia Public Service Commission. And I always tell people this is an educational opportunity because the Public Service Commission is probably one of the agencies that touches your lives every single day that you have no idea about. Because we regulate electricity, gas, and landline telephones. And for next year, we're going to be setting rates for Georgia Power, and we're going to be designing the integrated resource plan, which decides like where do we get our energy from? Coal, gas, nuclear, hydro, renewables like solar and geothermal. So next year is going to be a huge year. And there are 5 members of this commission. It's the oldest state agency in Georgia. It was founded in 1879 as the Railroad Commission. And then in 1922, they added the utilities portion of it. And that's why it became the Georgia Public Service Commission. So these 5 commissioners must live in a district somewhere in the state. There are 5 districts. But we run statewide. And that's the other confusing part, because I live in Henry County, and so I have to live in one of 23 counties, which is called the Western District, between Henry and the border with Alabama. And District 3 that is also up this year, the person has to live in either DeKalb, Fulton, or Clayton County. And yet, you all get to decide on both of those positions. So Districts 3 and 5 will be on every ballot in every county, in every city, in every precinct. And that is the part that can get really confusing, because you just, pretend like there's not a district. You have an opportunity to choose 2 new commissioners this year, and just, you can go out there and look at those. I will be number 10 on your ballot. I always tell people Stacy is the engine and I'm the caboose. So make sure you just go vote down your ballot and don't leave me at the station, because this is such an important time that we look at our energy resources. I'm really focused on 3 principles, which are affordable and fair rates, because we know that Georgia is the 3rd highest utility bills in the country, and we really got to look at that. I want to make sure that we have reliable and safe services. We've got to make sure that our energy assets don't negatively impact our environment. And in a lived environment, that means like we have to make sure coal ash is properly disposed of. We have to make sure our hydro is not negatively impacting the flora and the fauna downstream in our rivers. We've got to look at cost overruns at Plant Vogtle, where they're building 2 new nuclear reactors that are $14 billion over budget in 5 years behind schedule. That is the thing that is the hot button issue in this race, because everybody talks about accountability. And I know most businesses, when they are looking at a project, that they're gonna have to then charge to their consumers what it takes. They're probably gonna rethink things, but we are paying upfront to build 2 new nuclear reactors, and the accountability issue is a big problem. So I don't wanna keep giving a blank check to Georgia Power. If they continue on cost overruns, they have to be accountable for what's happening there. I think that we as consumers are paying, have paid more than our fair share, and will pay more than our fair share. We are anticipating, and which really makes me frustrated and angry, a 12% increase in our electricity rates because of these 2 nuclear reactors. And so at some point, someone has to say, we gotta stop the burden on the taxpayer, and this company who gets a $12 billion profit needs to pick up the tab. So, there you go. Yeah, that's the biggest issue. I don't want to take up a lot of y'all's time. We're moving along. We had a poll come out yesterday. We are leading in the race. Both Lindy Miller, who's the other Democratic nominee in 3, and I are 3 points up from our Republican incumbents. And we need everybody to vote. And down ballot. That is the hard part. There is drop off. People don't. They go in and they vote for governor, maybe they'll vote for Congress, maybe they'll vote for their state house or Senate member. And then they forget about all of these other really important things that impact your life. I mean, when you think of electricity, how can, imagine, it's even little inconveniences like my cell phone battery just died. Well, you're looking for a plug to plug it in. That's electricity. You know, when you cook your food, that's gas or electricity. When you heat your home, when you cool your home. And I've been around the state seeing where people are making hard decisions about, do they heat their home or do they put meat on the table? I mean, do they use their air conditioning or do they pay for their medication? And those are really tough decisions. I was actually sitting with a friend who's a good friend of mine, a nurse who works at Henry, well, it's Piedmont now. I like keep trying to say Henry General, but it's Piedmont. And she said she has people come into the ICU with, emergencies around their insulin, they're diabetic, or they have heart condition and they need blood pressure medicine. And they said, it's the difference between paying for my utilities or paying for this medication. And those are life and death issues that we in these down ballot races really need your help to change the dynamics there. My background is I am a Army brat, and my parents moved here. Dad moved to Fort Mac in '87 when I was a junior in college at Penn State, and then moved over to Fort Gillem. So when I graduated from Penn State in '88, I came down here, and we've been living in Clayton and Henry counties ever since. I've loved the south side of Atlanta. I think we figured out the traffic a little bit better than other people. It's bad, but it's not as bad as going up to 285. When I've been traveling around for the campaign, I'm like, oh, rush hour. North of Atlanta, oh my gosh, I will stay on. I love my south side. And plus we get to Florida faster, right? And the airport faster. So I've been here for 30 years working on things like healthcare, energy, and environment. I've been an advocate, a consumer champion. I actually worked for Senator Sam Nunn when I first got out of college for 5 years. Then I worked for the Department of Community Affairs on utility issues and management and budget for city and county governments. And then for the last 24 years, I've been advocating for mental health, substance use disorder, and healthcare and energy and environmental issues. I have my own little business that does consulting work with nonprofits. And I tell people this is a really passionate area for me. I ran for this office in 2006 when I was 40, and I got 40% of the vote. So now I'm 52, and I need 52% of the vote. In runoff. And we are at 43% from this current poll that just came out. So we really need 7% more to get us, or actually we're at 44, so we need 7 more percent. And we know there's 12% undecided, so please help us pull folks down ballots. Lindy and I are ready to go to work. Day one, we would really like to go to work on Wednesday and not have to do a runoff. So please help us get the word out. And my website is Randolph for Georgia. My Facebook page is at Randolph for Georgia. My Twitter handle is Win with Randolph. We're really passionate about shaping a sustainable energy future for Georgia, where people can't afford air conditioning so that they're not struggling with mold in their house, which creates asthma in kids, which is the #1 reason kids are out of school is asthma. So, yes.
So can you address balancing the needs of bringing down prices on our utilities with the needs to be more environmentally friendly
Yes.
with not only the toxins that are in our neighborhoods, but also global warming?
Yes, so I would like to see in our integrated resource plan, we put a gig of solar on the ground every year for the next 6 years. This is a 6-year seat. And we only have a gig on the ground right now of solar. So if we start building up our renewables and get distributed generation where it's community solar, community focused, over the next decade or two, we could do some of those things. We could move to more renewables. I'll give you an example. Germany.
So does it cost, so what's the
Well,
balance
it's costing
between
us $30 billion to build a nuclear plant.
Well, you know.
Yeah, it's costing us $30 billion to build a nuclear plant. Imagine if we had invested that money in community solar, or in Germany, for example, where I lived for 7 years. I was 4 years in high school there. The house that I lived in, which is in a community that's 700 years old, the house that I lived in has solar on it, and every house in that community has solar on it. So instead of them investing in a nuclear plant, they invested in community solar. And so that's the difference. And now, last year in May, Germany, which is on a higher latitude than we are in Georgia, they had 82% of all of their energy coming from renewables. And they did an incredible jobs program building all this out, and they invested in their communities. You know, we're not there yet.
So who's making the money on the vote? Whose pockets are we lining?
Georgia Power. Because they're going to make a $12 billion profit.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So. Yes, now nuclear needs to be safe and reliable because we already have 2 new nuclear reactors there, units 1 and 2, and then we have Plant Hatch, which is another nuclear reactor a little southwest of that. So we got to make sure that that's another issue about toxins and water quality, so we've got to make sure that we keep that reliable and very safe. And cybersecurity is another thing that I talk a lot about. That's a geeky thing. Yeah.
Any more questions? What?
So it's a little known it's a little known area, but it's something that we really need. And I can tell you that this vote could be so close, it could literally hinge on a handful of people making a decision on who will be a commissioner and if we go into a runoff. So I'm not leaving any stone unturned. And I appreciate every one of you to help me if you hear something that you like to get the word out and share with folks, and let's get this done. We got 3 days.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.